CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm CBS 46 political reporter Giovanna Derpick. And of course, the big topic of the week, the 2016 presidential election. Today, my guest is CBS 46 political analyst Bill Nigut.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. Okay, so we have President-elect Donald Trump. Did you see this coming?
Well, I don't think anyone, including the Trump campaign, really saw it coming. But I think there are stages in whether we saw it coming or not. I think after the release of the Access Hollywood tape, for a period of time, it seemed clear that the Hillary Clinton campaign was gaining an enormous amount of momentum. His numbers were dropping. And at that point, it appeared as if voters were going to elect Hillary Clinton. Then the Comey announcement that he was extending the investigation into her emails, I think, blunted that momentum for Clinton. And so by the very end, despite the fact that the polls showed her about a 3+ point lead in the averages, I think at that point it was clear that Trump really did have a path to victory. Okay, having said all that, what we saw in terms of the wave that swept across the country, maybe those factors didn't enter into this at all, and people already knew they were going to elect Donald Trump for reasons we can discuss.
Do you think a lot of the pundits were tone deaf? They didn't see what they wanted to see? I've heard that there was a discourse of a lot of angry white working class voters who said, "You're not listening to us."
Yeah, I know that in the last few days after the election, there are a lot of media people, individuals and organizations that are beating themselves up about this, saying just what you said. We didn't understand the extent of the anger. We don't relate to the working women and men of America and understand their problems. I'm not sure I think that's really correct. That's, to me, a facile explanation for what happened here. I do think it's true that what the media did underestimate was the impact that Trump's behavior would have on voters out there. In other words, I think that the media assumed that because we all painted a picture of Trump, which he really presented to us, a guy who made up stories about himself, who contradicted himself frequently, a guy who on tape did, in fact, talk about his behavior toward women. I think we had a certain arrogance in believing that when we reported those stories, the public would understand that and would want to vote against him. Not that we wanted them to vote against him, but I think we misunderstood the importance of our role.
Women. A lot of people believe that women would turn toward Hillary Clinton. However, I noticed that there was a generational difference. Anecdotally, when I would look at social media, what my friends in different parts of the country were saying. And indeed, due to exit polls, it showed that 54% of women went for Clinton and 42% went for Trump. But that was actually considered quite high, given what we were hearing, that women would break for Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I think that that gap was certainly not enough to propel her into the White House. And again, I think that people were willing to overlook the worst excesses that they saw in Donald Trump and vote, in fact, for change, for the notion that he was going to shake things up in Washington, that he was going to drain the swamp, as he said over and over again. And you heard that. We all did. People who would say, well, yes, we know he doesn't treat women well. Well, yes, we know he doesn't have many policies and he contradicts himself. But that isn't what matters to us. He's going to bring change. We all heard that over and over again throughout the campaign, I think.
So people were able to compartmentalize different aspects that they did like and overlook the ones that they didn't?
Yes, and not so much compartmentalize, although that's a good way to describe it, as much as saying those things don't matter. We need change. We want a change agent. We want someone who will shake things up in Washington.
The Hispanic vote. Now, I'm Latina, and I think a lot of people, again, assumed that the Hispanic vote, that they would be angry because of his talk about immigration, building a wall, etc. But I know Latinos who said, we're supporting Trump.
Yeah,
so,
I'm fascinated by that data that we've seen. that Hispanics voted for Trump in larger numbers than they did for Mitt Romney. And it's also true that African Americans voted for Trump in larger numbers than they did for Mitt Romney, to the extent that there were a lot of votes. There weren't a lot. Nevertheless, people were not looking at the faults and flaws of Donald Trump. They were looking at somebody they thought could come in, help them get the jobs they don't have right now, help restore a sense of national pride in this country, and all the other things that Trump said he stood for. It was a remarkable result, I think, based on the way the campaign unfolded.
I saw one social media post that I thought was interesting. It was an African American man, and he said, as an artist, I could see myself supporting Hillary Clinton, but as a broke black man, I'm supporting Trump.
I'm not sure I understand completely what you make of that, except someone who is saying, as an artist, I understand that the values that matter, values of inclusiveness, values of no one human being being less valuable than another human being. I assume that's the artist side of the brain, and the other side is, I'm not getting the jobs that I deserve. I'm seeing people out there who are, wealthy, who are having great success in this country. It's not happening for me.
Okay, very interesting. And when Public Affairs on Peach returns, what the two major parties can learn from this election. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.